afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Big Dave, the Big Dave Dev Showcase, and we're about to start a tutorial series, the tutorial toolbox. So I'll be starting some tutorials and goes from easy to intermediate to programming skills or setups, especially on Unity. So, mostly what I'm mostly proficient on. Um, with us, for those who are new in Unity, with us, for the convenience of this project, we'll just start basics. Yeah, we've got basic scripting of how the scripts work in Unity. So yeah, enjoy. So I'll be back when this is done. So yeah, so just stay tuned. Okay, so let's continue where we stopped. Now, this is the Unity engine or Unity IDE, the integrated development environment, however you want to call it. So, now, Unity engine normally on default layout comes with at least six windows. There's a hierarchy. This is where most of your prefabricated assets will be shown from the directional light to the main camera and so on and so forth, or any other objects that you are using to build a game or you're using to build a movie. Yeah, like what I was trying to say before, that Unity now, unlike before, you could only use it to create games, but now you can use it to make so much more. You can create games, you can create movies, animation clips, you can even there are even plugins that you can use to create animations. Shout out to the developers that created all those assets. That you can practically get them on the asset store. You can even create their plugins or engines outside Unity that you can integrate with Unity that you can to create let us say models. You can use it to create animations and so much more. Yeah, so now let's continue. Now this is the project hierarchy. Yeah, so that, and this is the console. Yeah, for all you programmers or programmers that want to be known, programmers that want to start game development. Sorry. Um, this window is practically very important, especially for all newbies, because this is where all your logs, all your programming logs, your debugs, everything will happen, and some errors may pop up, and this is where you will see them here. So again, let's go back to the project. Now the assets we have normally is a scene here, so the sample scene, this is what we call a scene. So here, this is where we put in our assets, the assets we want to use to create what we want to create in our project. Yeah, basically that's it. Then we have the inspector. Now this inspects your object, the particular object that you are slotted in the hierarchy. That's mainly the transforms, that's the rotations, the positions, and the scale. Yeah, you get the point. Or maybe you're still confused on it. Let me just do this. So let's just say I want to create a new object. So I don't say let's create a 3D object. Yeah, I forgot. If you right click, there's a window that pops up. So you have a variety of things you can do. So let's create a 3D object. Let's say cube. Okay. So okay, let's continue. Um, yeah, where was I? Oh yeah. So yeah, like now we've created a new 3D object. So we're going to inspect the cube. So it's inspected. So it has a transform, cube mesh, the mesh renderer, and it has its collider. Now, here's the thing. Unity uses one major port, I think before Windows 85, and um, earlier I think it was using JavaScript and C Sharp or just JavaScript. I can't remember. I remember when I started with Unity 5, I know that it was using JavaScript and C Sharp. So I can, but now it's basically just C Sharp. So now all this that we're saying now on the cube, because remember C Sharp is an object-oriented language. So all this, the box collider is a script that works with Unity to actually let us say the script that works with the object. Yeah, like we already know what collider is, and those that are not familiar with collider, collider is a particular kind of script or event that actually that actually interacts with another object in the environment. Yeah. So let us see. So okay, let's just try and explain this. One, okay, so just like that. So now this is just to show you how this vector works. The vector works with anything that it puts, any prefabricated assets. And if you want to save your prefabricated assets, that your prefab, that's any asset you put in here, you just need to drag and drop it here. Yeah. The first thing you notice is that the color becomes blue. That means it's a saved prefab. That means you can actually drag, drop it anytime you want. So yeah. So now we're going to see how codes work with this particular with objects the same. So let us do this for now. We'll turn this to 2D. Yeah. Also I forgot about here. Yeah. This is your scene. This is where your creation happens. This is where you do everything. You're basically the creator in this plane. As you can see, it's a fast plane. Continuously fast. So yeah. Then this is your game window. This is where the magic happens. You just press play, and the magic happens. But we haven't done any magic, so let us pause here. So now let's switch it to 2D. Okay, so now I want to create a 2D object. So let's go to UI and say I want to create an image. Yeah, so if you notice, when I created something 2D, there are some components that I'll have to pop out, like the canvas and the event system. This only happens when you want to create a UI or a kind of 2D let us say object. This is what happens. So let's click on the image. So yeah. Now let's center this image. Or you know what? I think I have a better idea. Let's do it like this. It also show you how objects work in the game. So let's say let's put this cube. Yeah. Now, if I press play, you can see nothing happens. Nothing at all. It's just there. But now there's something I want to do. I want to add a component. Now in Unity has its own script. Even if there are some scripts you can create your own custom scripts Anyhow you want to create it, it's all left for you. But Unity has its own scripts that you can still use to create your own game. Well, I don't know whether I can to create a finished game, but it helps nonetheless. So let's go to the cube. Let's add a component. Then let's type rigid body. Yeah. So this on its own is a script. This rigid body is actually supposed to give it a physics of mass. Okay, not only a physics of mass, it can also be a physics of interaction. Like you can use it not only for gravity, but you can also use it to interact with a particular environment. Let's just say you want to create, I don't know, you want to create a collider that triggers. Let's say I'll just remove the measuring of the cube. Then I just create a 3D object. Then it will now collide with, you know that sometimes when you play some games and the character just enters a particular place, the scene changes. Yeah, this is how it is. Once a particular character, okay, you know, I'll just put it like this. Another cube here. This is the first cube. All right, so I'll just put it. Let us say this is another cube. This is, let us say, later I will show you how to do 3D third person controller, and I'll show you how the interaction between one scene to another scene works. But for now, we just want to do the introduction. I think maybe if by request anybody wants that, I will create that video and I'll put it in my channel. So let us say this, we'll just give an example that this is a character and this cube is a trigger. So once this character enters that particular cube, something happens. So rigid body also helps in that aspect as well. So let's just note this. Okay, now there's something I want to show you. Now I put in the rigid body. Remember that's what we did. So I put in the rigid body. Now let's press play. As you can see, the cube fell. I gave it gravity, right? So right now it's still falling. Let's see if I'm correct. Yep, see, still falling, still falling, still falling. The endless void of, well, you know what, so let us pause there. Okay, so we know that this gives it the properties of mass. It gives it the action of mass, the events of mass, it gives it its own physics. So let us just to make it clear for everybody to just see, let us put terrain. Yeah. Okay, let's put this cube here. Cube. Alright. Sorry again if this video is not for you. It's really meant for beginners, people that are not really familiar with Unity at all. Because I know that there are some OG Unity devs around YouTube checking this channel right now. This video is only meant for those who just want to start Unity, that have never entered Unity and just want to see how it is for the first time. So yeah, okay, so this is our terrain. This is the terrain. If you know what a terrain is, just by checking the dictionary, you know that a terrain is like an open, like how do I put it now? What's that word? A Terrain is like in a game, it's like your open world space. This is where your playground is, your sandbox is, whatsoever you want to call it. This is where it happens. Okay, now let's press play again. As you can see, it didn't go below where the terrain is because the terrain itself has its own collider. Yeah, so that's about it. That's just how the interaction is. Now let's try and create custom code to see what we can do. To see what we can do with this particular cube. Okay. Let's say we don't want to allow the cube to just drop. We want to give it an action that the cube, even if it wants to drop, want to still tap on one of the keys on the keyboard to make it float. That if you want to drop it, floats. Want to drop it, floats. So let's see if we can do that. So normally, what we do, just create, go right click, create, then just a C# script. Then we'll now type this as a cube. Yeah. Okay. Now we click on it. By the way, I'm using Visual VS Code because I think it's lightweight for my laptop. I don't know. Anytime I use Visual Studio, it's a little bit. I don't know. My system tends to be slow. My system is not really high end now, but yeah, I think VS Code is better. So if you want to know how to integrate VS Code, if you're having a problem with using Visual Studio and making your system slow and you want to use VS Code with all the whole properties of Unity, C#, snippets and everything, I'll put the link in the description on how you can do that. Yeah, so let's just take a light break, then we'll be back. Okay, welcome back. So yeah, so let's continue with what we're doing. So I've opened up the Visual Studio VS Code. That's a lightweight version of Visual Studio, and that's very good. As you can see, everything has already been integrated, so it's just left for us to start creating the script. So now there's something I need to do because I want to create that custom script I've been talking about. So this is what I want to first. Yeah, okay, let's go there. Now let's see, cube. We want to rename this cube to something. We'll just say Mr. Cube. Yeah. Okay. So there's a reason why I'm doing this. So just watch carefully. Just see what I'm about to do. Okay. So let's say for start. Object name is equals to Mr. Cube, right? So let's put that. So this is what I want to do. I want my script right now. Although for you to really understand C#, you really need to, if you guys are still new to C#, you really need to understand how C# works. So my guess or my advice is to actually I'll still put the link in the description below on that so that you can actually understand how C# is. Especially the link, they will show you how and what every function and what every what references and the coding terms mean in C#. But this is just an example video of how a custom code can actually affect an object in the game. So yeah, so let's continue. So now I just said game object name Mr. Cube. So what I just did here is that at for start, that's at the start when I actually play the game, I want this script to find Mr. Cube. And Mr. Cube is this particular game object. So let's drag the cube, then I put here. But the thing is that right now there is a problem, because even if I put this here, it's not saying, it doesn't, even if it's saying it, yeah, fine, I recognize it, but its actions that I'm about to implement will not still fully recognize it, because there is no reference to here, to the rigid body. Because if I want to create a script that, okay, I'll be tapping to manipulate the gravity, that's the rigid body of a particular object, I still need to create a reference. From the cube to the rigid body, or from the cube script to the rigid body, a reference of the rigid body to the cube. Let's put it like that. So what do I do here? Sorry, because system was hanging a little bit. So, yeah, okay. Sorry about that. There's something to work in the background with some updates. So now we go here. Wrong. So now we type public, yes, rigid body. That's my rigid body. Okay, so save. Let's see what happens. Again, error. No error. Okay. So now it's in my rigid body. It's looking. Now you've already put in a public reference on. It's now asking you, what rigid body are you actually looking for? What game object with a rigid body are you looking for? So we're going to drag this and put it here. Alright. So now we've seen what reference does. That this reference has given the fact that it has accepted that this is a rigid body, because I've already put the script of a rigid body here. So we can now perform the actions we want to perform in order to create the particular function for this particular cube. Okay, so what we will do is that we will go to the update side of the script. So this is what we'll do. Void object, my rigid body dot velocity. So yeah. So now let's continue. So my rigid body dot velocity is equals to vector. Vector 3 up. Yeah, the 3 up. Times 10. Right. So now there are two types of vectors, right? There's vector 2, there's vector 3. But I'm using vector 3 because I am using a 3D object. But if I'm using vector 2, that means I'm using a 2D object. So just keep that in mind in the future. Okay, so let's really keep that in mind in the future. So now let us save the project. And let's see what happens. And now you press play. Okay, now you see that instead of going down, the script is going up. Now instead of going down, the script is going up. Now before we did that, instead of it, before the script was, the object was actually going down. That's okay. Let us put it like this. If I remove this, save. See, it's trying to go down. Let's move the terrain a little bit. All right. So now let's pause and let's remove this. Let's go back to the cube, and I put this. Go back. Save. See, going up now. High in the sky. Okay. So we know that that works now. So we know that what we did here is that once we've put into rigid body, the rigid body now, it does the script of this. This is now interacting with a custom script because we have now used this as a reference to what rigid body we are trying to manipulate using a custom code. So that's what first we said void start. When we start, let us find this, let us find the name of the game object, which is the cube, which is here, the cube. Then an update. You now say my rigid body, which this is what we put. My rigid body dot velocity is equals to vector 3 up times 10. And so you get the action of your script, of your object floating up in the sky. But we're not done here because we still need to create one more thing. We still need to create one more thing, and that's an if and else statement. An if and else statement is practically like a gate. So if it's like a gate, it's like, okay, Nigerian people, they will understand this. It's like you have a house and you have a gate man. A gate man, someone that stays at the gate and watches over the gate, okay, like security. So you are now telling the script that let everything pass, but if this one, if this particular, if this, okay, let us say if A is active, then let it through. That's what you're trying to say in an if and else statement. If A is active, let it through, but B, C, D, E, F, G, H, let them not come in. So that's what if and else statement is. So let's just start, and we're going to do that in an update side of things. So let's do it like this. We'll update rigid body. So let's do it like this. Yeah. So if input equals to get key down, key code space, then equals to true. So now what we're going to do is that we have now said that if, okay, you know what, let me just finish it from here. Now we'll cut this, and put it there. Save. Now what we just said now is that, okay, if input, that's dot get key down, that's if we press a button, and what is the key, or what is the key that we're going to press, being the key code, is space, that's if I press the space bar, is equals to true, that the double being 2 equals to that equals to true, then my rigid body velocity is equals to velocity vector 3 dot up times 10. Okay, so let's test if this is correct. Save, go back. Okay, so let's press play. Okay, pressing the cube now, pressing it. Right now what I'm doing is pressing the space bar. So as I press the space bar, it goes up. Let's just switch to the scene side. Okay, now of course here's the game field. So pressing it, and let's press it very much. Go back to the scene. Let's see what happens, and it falls down. So we have now seen how the custom scripts affect a game object in game. So this is how it works. This is an example of how your scripts or any script you create can affect a game. This is just like a brief introduction to the video, to the many tutorials I'll be making. So expect more, but for the newbies, I needed to create something for them. So this is an example of what custom scripts, what your own the script you made will affect game objects. Alright? So there are other things I will still be teaching. In the next video I will show you, especially for my I'll just switch it up a little bit, especially for people that want to do animation and they are really finding it hard to use Blender. Believe me, I am very hard. Anyhow, there's a particular tool we're going to use for the next tutorial called UMotion. Yeah, UMotion is a very powerful tool, especially if you want to create your own animations. That you know that you are creating a game, but you do not know where to get the animation. You can try and create the animation for yourself and use it in your game. So I will show you how it is. Although you can also use the animation for any other thing. Games, animation, movies, etc. It all depends on you. So that will be coming in my next video. So this is just an intro of the introduction to Unity, especially for all newbies. I hope it was very good. I hope it was self-explanatory. If there's something you still do not understand, please comment in this comments. Put down your comment in the section. You know what? Just put down your comments. So please like, please share, and also I'm not just doing it for everyone. I'm also doing it for me as well, because as I code, I learn as well. So stay tuned. Have a nice day, everyone, and peace.